We're going to be live.
Can I go ahead and start my screen share then as well? Or is that going to mess something
You
up?
can.
Okay.
Nope, you're all good. And it looks like we're live.
All right.
Okay.
We are. Thanks. Sorry.
All right. Thank you very
No
much indeed.
problem.
Yeah. So everyone, welcome. Good evening. And we're going to open this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz, meeting on September 21st, 2020, doing so via Zoom. I'm going to declare the meeting open at 7:03 p.m. So thank you all for your attendance, and we'll get started with the approval of the minutes. So I believe the minutes have been circulated to the commissioners. And so let me just ask simply, are there any suggested amendments to the minutes?
Good evening, everyone. I think the minutes look great, and I do not suggest any amendments.
Okay. Chris, you've had a chance to look, and Steve?
Yes, they look fine.
I have, yeah. I think everything looks great.
Chris, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I said I have. I think everything looks great.
Okay, great. And Pat, you've had a chance? Pat, you've had a chance to see the minutes? Uh-oh.
Pat does not seem to be muted.
Val, do you have the ability to mute and unmute? That might help.
She's not muted, so
Okay.
I'm not sure what I can do here.
Well, let's hope it's just a little hiccup. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Steve, seconded by Camilla. All those in favor, and Chris, by the way, you are impaneled to vote tonight.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So all those in favor of approving minutes as submitted?
Aye.
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 Aye, Chris.
Okay. So Val, that can be recorded as 4 with, I guess, I'm not even sure we call it an abstention in Pat's case, but a non-communication abstention.
Okay.
Let me just, while we're discussing the next item, I'll send Pat a text and let her know that we can't hear her. Everyone, the next is a public hearing or application for certificate of appropriateness. We will move to a public hearing, and it is HPC 2007. This is on behalf of the Reformed Church of New Paltz, looking to construct an extension on the corner of the church to replace their unreparable or irreparable elevator. Oh, thanks, Ari. That's great. The church is going to be represented by John Apuzzo. John, thank you so much for being with us and for your patience as we tweak our technology.
You're welcome.
John, I want to say at the beginning, thank you very much for the follow-up images and for staking out the site. Both of those were really helpful to me, at least, and I think probably to my colleagues. So much appreciated.
Yeah, not a problem.
John, was there anything you wanted to add to the application, to the written application?
Not really. I mean, I think we're hoping to, get through this process. I spoke to Corey at the village building department, and he seems to be okay with the, the drawings as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know we have to go through this process of your commission. So I'm willing to answer whatever questions you may or may not have.
Okay, perfect. Well, then let me open it up to colleagues. We have the application, and Val, it might be good to
Put the
share.
drawings on.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and share the application proper, and then we can go
Yeah.
to the drawings.
I actually am, but it's not showing up. So
Ah.
hold on a sec.
I have it up on my screen if you want to make me eligible. I actually think I can share.
Okay, let me, I'll stop share and you can take it over.
Okay. This should. Could somebody let me know if you're seeing
Yep.
the application?
We are.
Okay.
Or-
So just to summarize, this is an attempt to replace an elevator that really just cannot be repaired, and to upgrade the space so that the church is ADA compliant, something that I'm absolutely sure we're in principle behind. So let me open it up to my colleagues. You've had a chance to see it, and you've, I hope, made your site visits. Is there any discussion or question for John?
I don't have much of a discussion. I've been by and I see the need, and I think the plans are eminently suitable.
As do I.
I agree with Steve, and I would like to thank John for sending us a new set of drawings. They were much easier to navigate and see what's going on, and
Yeah.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah, well, I'll thank my friends at Alfondre for that.
There'll probably be a bill,
I think there's going to be one.
of course, but no, they do look very good. And in fact, I'll be glad to share those now if it helps anyone. Chris, I don't have a visual for you, but are you following this? Have you had a chance to see the drawings?
Yeah, so I was actually just gonna say, I kind of second both Camilla and Stephen. I think the new drawings really made it a lot easier to understand. At the last meeting, I was having a little bit of a hard time, so I really appreciate that, and I think it's necessary. I think it looks like really nice improvements too. So I'm kind of excited to see what they come out to look like, and yeah. So, but I think it's great.
Okay, good. And Pat, can you hear us? Do we have? I've just texted Pat to let her know that we can't hear and suggested that maybe she can log out and come back in.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with my colleagues. I think that the plans are extremely good and easy to visualize. It helped me a lot to see it staked out, John. And what that revealed to me is that this is going to be very inconspicuous. And I think will, in some ways, probably be an upgrade and improvement visually to what's there now.
Yep, it should work out great for the church.
Yep. So it's well cited, it's well described. I don't have any questions or objections at all. There's the staking.
There it is.
Okay. John, what do you think your timetable is? That's just a question of curiosity. Nothing hinges on it.
Well, I'd like to get once we get the approval, I'd like to try and at least get the framing done before the winter. And I've been in contact with a couple contractors that are in our church, so that they can do it. But I mean, I thought I was going to be doing it, in May or June. So I'm going to be working around their schedule.
Okay, got it. Well, our approval is, Valerie, please remind me, 2 years, is it not?
It is, yeah. Start the work within a year and finish it within 2.
That's right. Yeah. So, great. Well, I am happy to entertain a motion to approve if someone feels moved to do that.
Well, we have to open the public hearing.
Oh, so sorry.
And
Yes,
it's
thank you.
7:12.
Yeah. How about if I were to say I'm happy to entertain a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Stephen,
Second.
seconded by Camilla. All those in favor of opening public hearing?
Aye.
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 Okay. I wanted to let you know, Pat is closed out because of her kind of browser. So with everyone's permission, I'd like her to be able to vote by text message, and I can just convey that to the group as I receive it. Any objections there?
No objection.
Okay. So Pat, I think you just heard that, but I'm going to send it now. So the public hearing is open. Are there members of the public who would like to speak on HPC 2007? Okay. It's hard to read the room. I don't think there is a room. Val, do you have any indications from YouTube?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. Val, for the record, Pat voted yes to open public hearing.
Okay.
Let me just give it another half second and then we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion to close public hearing?
I move to close.
Camilla
Second.
moves, seconded by Stephen. Okay. All those in favor of closing public hearing, having heard no comments from the public? Aye.
Aye.
Just give a second for Pat. Actually, the motion would carry anyway. So Valerie, we can record that for the moment as 4 in favor. We'll see if we hear from Pat.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners, is there any discussion? We heard nothing from the public. We've had a chance to see the application and to see the site. Okay. Valerie, we have a 5th aye for closing public hearing from Pat.
Okay.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the application as submitted?
I
I
would like
moved
to.
it.
Oh,
I'll second.
Okay, I actually think I heard Chris first, so let's give Chris the motion, and I think I heard Camilla just before Stephen. So all those in favor of approval as submitted?
Aye.
Okay. So Valerie, it's going to carry. John, you've got it, and it's just a question whether it's 4 or 5 to 0. And I believe I just heard from Pat with an aye. So motion carries. John, thank you for a very good application and a very thoughtful solution to the.
And I want to thank you all for the process. It was an eye-opening experience, and it was much needed. And I appreciate all the help that you guys helped me, especially Valerie, with all the work that you did for me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for all of your help.
All right, and I'll keep you guys posted how we make out.
All right, I'll be in touch with the building department this evening and I'll copy you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you very much, John, and all best with the project. I look
Thanks
forward
so
to
much,
seeing
and have a
it.
good evening.
You too.
Okay.
good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye.
Yeah, so Val, that was a 5 to 0 with an aye from Pat.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So Chris, what we saw there, just a little commentary on the side, that was a really well put together application, you know, architectural drawings, everything that we wanted. And the only hiccup was the first version were just so shrunken that a lot of us found it hard to read them. Let's go on, everyone, to HPC 2008. Val, did you have any indication that there was going to be representation?
I believe Mon is planning to come. I had suggested to him about 7:30 though, based on a 7:15 initial public hearing for John.
Okay. Why don't we, with everybody's permission, I would hate to, oh, there you are, Mon.
All right.
Hi, Don. Hi, Val.
Your
Hi
timing
there.
is impeccable. Like, you could do stand up with timing like that.
Zoom is not my my favorite at the moment. I'm a very rank beginner, so I start early every chance I get.
Well, you're in good company. I don't think any of us consider ourselves experts.
We had to fiddle around a little bit with our Zoom at the beginning, but it's all good. Everybody's had a chance to see the drawings, and I'm projecting now one of them. People have done a site visit. I think we're informed, but is there anything you wanted to add to the application?
Well, I think one thing that's depicted in one of the photographs I submitted, I took from Henry Court, and not that one. Keep going. Yes, yes. There's really only two houses, or possibly three, that are going to be able to see this shed as proposed. And they're Presby and her neighbor across Henry Court. No, not Noel.
Not Noel.
I think it's Smith. It's on the site drawing. I've spoken directly to both of them, and here I am trying to point Smith, and they were both in favor of it. So those were several of the people that I spoke to, but they were the most directly affected. And as you can see from that photograph, certainly it's leaves up, but it's barely visible where the shed would be, and it's actually not as long as the garage. It's 4 or 5 feet shorter, and it's as proposed, and it's like 12 feet wide, and will be lower. So it fits in nicely, and primarily it's going to be used to hold all of the materials that we use for our charity bicycle ride, which is the Ride for Mental Health. And we've had that for 4 years. So there's signs, and there's things for rest stops, and all the paraphernalia that you would use to attract lots of riders from the multiple state area. This year, we were projected to have 600, and we were actually going to have the start finish at the Ulster County Fairgrounds, but the pandemic put a halt to that. But we were able, as we pivoted, to have a ride together apart. And so we attracted well over 300 riders, and they were actually from all over the world. So our goal for fundraising is a little short. Our riders were a little short, but we certainly raised the awareness of mental health issues, and we're trying to erase the stigma. So at any rate, that's the primary purpose of the shed, is to house all of the signs. We have 4 routes, and 2 of them are 50 miles, one's 25, and then we have the rail trail. So there's a lot of signs, and there's a total of approximately 10 rest stops. So there's a lot of equipment for that. And the garage is filled with cars, and the barn is filled with animals, squirrels and nuts and chipmunks and mice and stuff. And we're a little concerned about the stability of keeping the ride equipment in there. So we wanted to create a kind of a weather-tight enclosure.
Great.
Seemed like the shed would be a good play. We're going to be using, as I indicated, the same materials, which is a rough sawn pine, and the standing seam metal roof, same colors. It's just going to look like a slight extension to the existing structure.
Thank you. That's wonderful context. Very helpful. In the photo that everybody's seeing, there's a nice advantage, and I don't know if there was any foresight here at all, but your windows won't be interrupted at all. Those clerestory windows come in just above the proposed
Approximately
height.
6 inches, yeah, 6 inches above the roof line. There is one addition, and I think it's the next photograph. I tried to get a picture of the snow rails, and obviously the snow rails will be on the shed side, the proposed shed side of the garage, simply to keep the snow from impacting the shed roof, because it comes down, as you may be aware, like a bag of wet concrete when it slides off the roof. And those rails have proved very effective. I've used them on my house to keep the snow from pummeling all the items in the garden around the house, and they'll hold up any snow that's about 2 inches or more, and only lets it melt slowly. So they're wonderful. They're also expensive.
Very simple technology that works and probably saves human life
Yeah,
too, occasionally.
you gotta love it.
Good. Commissioners, does anyone need clarification or wish to express an opinion?
I think the plans look really good, and I just would like to add that whenever Mr. Doris comes in front of the commission and the work that they have done previously, everything was executed with the greatest sensitivity to Huguenot Street, and I have no doubt that this project will be done in a similar fashion. So
Yeah.
I have no objections at all.
Thank you. We've had some practice when we straightened out the barn and then added the garage and the connector to it. And Tom in particular had come out in advance of my coming in front of the HPC and gave me his thoughts on the project. So I've had some experience in front of you guys before. This time apart from being together, but nevertheless, it's been very helpful to get your expertise along the way. So we're looking forward to a good project, and we hope it's approved.
Well, we'll find out very soon, won't we? Any other questions or comments? I'll say one thing in general. This wouldn't be the first barn or storage space that kind of grew an extra wing. This is pretty typical of barn construction and makes me feel that, you know, it'll fit in quite well. Most barns seem to have, you know, extra wings and lean-tos, and this is no different. Great. Well, if there are no comments or questions, let me entertain a motion to open public hearing on HPC 2008.
Move to open the public hearing.
Chris moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Stephen seconds. Okay, all those in favor of opening public hearing?
Aye.
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 Let's just hear from Pat. The motion carries, and it's just a question whether Pat's vote is part of that. While that's happening, are there any comments from the public? Do we have members of the public who'd like to comment on this application? Okay, I'm hearing nothing, and Val?
Nothing on YouTube.
Okay, I think we can assume that, you know what, I think, Val, was it only privately that you communicated 7:30 to Mon?
Yeah, the legal notice says 7:15. just like
Okay,
the original
so I
one.
think we're within our rights to say people have had enough time. Val, for your notes, Patricia agrees with opening public hearing, so that was a 5-0 vote.
Okay.
I'm hearing nothing from the public, so is there a motion to close public hearing?
I move to close.
Yeah,
Second.
Okay, Camilla and then Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll see if Pat votes. That motion carries in any case. Commissioners, any further discussion before we put the question of approval? Okay, for the 45th time, is there a motion to approve the application as submitted?
I move that HPC 2008 be approved.
I second.
Second.
Wait. All right, commissioners, all those in favor of approval as submitted?
Aye.
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 Aye. So, Mon, that carries. We're just finding out whether it carries with a 4 or a 5. Val, Pat voted in favor of closing public hearing.
got it.
And Mon, congratulations. We look forward to the results.
Thank you very much, all of you. And I trust Val will send it over to the building department.
I'll email them tonight and I'll copy you in the process.
Okay, great. And we look forward to finishing this project at some point within the next 2 years.
Cool.
Do
Thank
you
you.
think you'll attempt it this season, or is this more of a next year?
It's hard to say. I know the builder, who in this case is Floyd Niffen, it's presumed to be Floyd Niffen, is very, very busy. And I think he kind of indicated that, well, you know, I could break ground and kind of work it in between some of the other projects little by little. So I'm not sure whether he'd like to start it this fall or next spring. So it's really going to be in his hands.
Okay. Well, either way, we look forward to it.
Me too.
Good.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Goodbye. Val, we have an affirmative vote from Pat, so that passes 5-0.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Valerie, are you able to bring up Bill's email report?
I'm going to bring it up on the other computer if you don't mind, and I can read it to you. It's fairly brief. Is that all
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why don't you read it to everyone?
Yep. I will
So
do that.
Bill had a conflict tonight. He's got a fairly brief report, but a couple of important things for us.
Let me just get it open. One sec. Some updates include, we're looking at the village's proposed short-term rental law, and we'll be discussing again at this Wednesday's meeting. Also, they're in discussion with Habitat for Humanity about the Broadhead House, and Habitat is very much interested. He said the village is close to finishing the deal with Stewart's to transfer the property to the village. And once that's complete, a project manager from Habitat will inspect the premises.
Okay. The little that I can add is that there's been quite a lot of work in the background to see if this house can go to an organization like Habitat for Humanity. And so I think that's why that is being entertained as a concrete possibility. One of the things that we would like to stipulate is that the house have signage, and we talked about, doing that. I think we have to come in, the village has to come into possession of it before we can go too much further down that road. But trust me, I'll keep that in Bill's view and in the view of the village board. That's Bill's report. There's nothing included in the plans for the pit. I don't know anything further. I don't know if anybody knows anything further.
I think I mentioned that there are some drawings posted on the planning board's website, so that might be worth everyone taking a look at.
Yeah. Could everybody make that an action item for the next meeting, just to have a look and familiarize yourself with the basic drawings? Val, I remember you did that and I didn't follow through.
It's okay. I mean, the link will be there, so
Yep.
easy enough to do it now or after the fact.
Val, would it be easy enough to resend that so that maybe it's more conspicuous?
It's probably linked in the agenda, I think is the way I did it.
Oh, yeah. Is it linked in?
Hold on one sec. I'm going to open it back up on the other computer. Okay, so the links are actually to the planning board and zoning board sites. And once you're
Okay.
in the planning board site, you'll be able to search by that application number. It's PB
Perfect.
2007.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you. That would be something that we should all start to familiarize ourselves with. Good. So it's to me to go over updates and discussion topics, but I know that Camilla, you and Zach posted things to the group today. It might be good to start with your update, and maybe we can also report Zach's.
I just sent everyone a draft of a press release about the art show. It's just a short draft, a few sentences about the accessibility to the online exhibit. And I will keep on uploading pictures to the Dropbox files for Zach to have them deposited on the HPC website.
Did you want us to?
I got the email, but it did not, that Google Docs did not come through as a link for me.
Okay, I will resend it as a text.
Okay, thanks.
The message, sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Camilla,
Sorry.
did you want input or did you want responses on the press release?
Maybe not tonight, since I only sent it today. That was my
okay.
So just after you read it.
Okay, just follow up by email.
Hurry. Yes, we are not in a hurry to publish anything right now.
Okay. Great. And Valerie, do you want to report on Zach, or Camilla, if you want to, on Zach's progress?
Camilla, you want to go ahead?
Zach found a way to upload pictures to the HPC website on the village, or the HPC site on the village website. Ariana is helping with that. And so Zach said that as soon as new pictures will be available, he will be uploading them.
That's great. And we have the shared folder where you've been putting the photos, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think that all sounds good. Any questions around that? Okay. I'd like to skip B2, all of B2, because Susan Stessen-Cohn's is going to join us in approximately 10 minutes. Membership updates. Val, do we have anything that, oh yeah, please.
Yeah, we do.
Of course.
You want to go for it?
No, go for it, please.
The village board approved Stephen's appointment as a regular member and had in July approved Chris as an alternate, but we got that word a little bit late. So apologies for that, Chris, which leaves us with a full 5 members again, and 1 alternate vacancy.
Yeah. And Chris, again, I want to apologize. As Val said, we just didn't get that memo in time to welcome you properly 2 months ago.
Never apologize. It's completely
Oh.
fine. I was, it was just funny at the meeting. I was like, wait, am I supposed
Am I in the right meeting?
Yeah. So I was like, wait, do I second this or am I just hanging out today? So, but I'm happy to be here now. And honestly, it was actually good to kind of have a meeting before doing
Right.
so that I have an idea of like how it works and everything. So happy
Yeah.
to be here and no worries
That's
at
great.
all.
Well, likewise. And you know what you saw tonight was two really well put together applications. Quite honestly, they're not always that thorough or clear, and sometimes we have to kind of fish for the information a little more, or take guesses, or come back with questions. But those were both, really thought out, good examples of how the process should work.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't feel that there's any immediate rush, but if people want to kind of keep a cell in their brain for a second alternate, we can just keep that in mind. Chris, the way it works with alternates is on a night like tonight when Sue couldn't attend, you're in effect a full member voting and everything. On other nights, it would be the 5 permanent members voting, but you're welcome to discuss and raise any question. But when it comes down to it, we can only record 5 votes.
All right, cool.
Great. Okay, so I'd like to move on to number 3 if I could. And this is,
Can I interrupt for just a second? I discovered today when I was in touch with Ari about these appointments that she has updated the HPC webpage so that everybody's names are updated and terms, the appointment terms, which is really helpful. And I'll send that link to you after the meeting.
that would be great. Do you want to send it to everyone? Was
Yep.
that a you plural?
Yes, it was a collective you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that would be really good. Do we have, well, there's time for all that. So with respect to B3, everyone, I'm going to confess, I have just really had a difficult couple of weeks and even months with work and other things. So I'm not where I would like to be on thinking through the design review board idea, but I'm going to share what I've drafted, which isn't that much further along than what we talked about in July. But I would really like input and ideas on this. So is this now visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the thinking was after our round of not exactly public input, but input from the planning board, that we really don't want to try to extend, we don't want to try to call the entire village a historic district when it's patently not all a historic district. So the thinking was to move toward an architectural review or design board. You can call it either, we can call it both, or something different, that would operate as the approving body and leave either, I have 2 notions about this, either leave the historic districts to the HPC. So these could potentially be totally separate bodies, one concerned with only landmark properties and the 2 districts, or they can be coterminous and equivalent bodies, but with separate charges. And that's something that I'd like to talk about tonight. I think there's a downside to creating a new commission or board because the village has a lot of difficulty staffing volunteer committees and commissions already, and I'm not sure how welcome that idea would prove to try to find 5 more people to do this, but we can talk about that. What I'm proposing would be that the 5 of us or the 6 of us take on that extra responsibility of design review board, that we create a downtown district that is equivalent to the national and state district, which is already thought out, already made, and has been with us for almost a decade. And that based on that determination, we would then have 2 distinct versions of our application form, short form and long form. And the long form would be pretty much what we've always used, and it would apply to historically sensitive properties that are either landmarked or in a district that's been landmarked. So pretty much think of the form that we're using. And then the short form would be a much simplified version of that with, I would go so far as to say, the presumption that there wouldn't be any objection, that, you know, if it's a non-contributing house on a street that is full of non-contributing houses, I don't think that we should be involved in anything except the most obvious or potentially objectionable changes. But here's where I'm kind of stuck, and I was explaining this to Val. I don't know how to communicate that to the community. I don't really know how we make that distinction clear without, in effect, saying this is just a rubber stamp, because I do think there are places in the village where there's some historical sensitivity outside Main Street or Huguenot Street. And I'm thinking, you know, the kind of famous case I keep raising on my street, where a nice bungalow grew by about 4-fold, it seems, and has mismatched siding and a huge parking lot and things that, you know, I don't think the community necessarily wanted, but there was no mechanism for preventing. And there are a couple of other examples around the community where, you know, I think that because of the nature of a neighborhood, people should have some input on whether they would approve a project or not. But I don't really know how to do that without, you know, seeming to be either a rubber stamp or more intrusive than we'd ever want to be. And I just don't know. The idea for short and long form came from a couple of communities that do it that way. So one possibility is to nose around and, you know, maybe talk to some commissions and see how that works in practice. But let me just open it up at this point. Any thoughts or reactions would be welcome.
I wouldn't worry about the short form and the long form, or that the short form indicates that it's being rubber stamped. I think if it's just presented to the public as these are the 2, you know, depending on where the building is, these are the 2 things that are in play. It's just if it's just a matter of these are what the short form looks at. I mean, don't interpret it for people. Just be this is what we look at, and don't put a value on it. Just like these are the things that this design review board looks at in this part of the village.
Do you feel that that I'm about right with what we would look at? Mass, materials, apertures, basically. Maybe we should be thinking about lighting, because sometimes neighbors don't feel very protected from obtrusive lighting. I don't think, you know, I definitely don't think we should be looking for a high level of historical accuracy in those cases. I don't think we should get into colors. Stephen, does that list seem about like what you would want to
I think so. I mean, there's probably something that that we haven't thought of, that somebody's just going to be like, what about blank? But I mean, I think it starts off, I think it's fine as it starts off. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's like too I guess intrusive, maybe the word I'm looking for. I think it's more just like, I agree with Stephen, kind of just like, this is what we're looking at in this part of the village. And, you know, I don't think any of it is like beyond the scope of, you know, what people would consider that we would want, or that a commission would want to know about. So I don't think it's it's a huge or unrealistic ask or for information, if that makes sense.
Does to me. Camilla?
I agree, and I agree with both Steve and Chris. And I don't know if maybe we say that any additions or any new construction should be consistent with the existing style of the building. That might give the owners an idea about what we are looking for.
That's a nice phrase, because in the case that I named, I mean, the siding doesn't match, the roof pitches don't match, you know, it's a catastrophe architecturally. And if people knew that in advance, that you just can't do that sort of thing, then maybe we wouldn't get to the point of having even to fight it.
Excuse me, Susan has joined us. Would
Hi,
it be okay to shift topics for a bit?
Why don't, Susan, do you mind, I think we're almost through this. Do you mind hanging on just a minute or two?
Oh, she's muted.
Oops, you're muted.
Is it better if I just come back at 8 o'clock?
I don't think we even need that long. Well, I guess if you want to do that, we have a couple of other things that we could fill in.
Sure. I could do 8 o'clock. I'll leave you
Sure.
up and I'll take my mic off and I'll finish.
Perfect. Then we'll do this and maybe one other item. Camilla, could I have that phrase again? Consistent with existing style?
Yes, consistency with the existing architecture or the existing style of the house.
Would you be comfortable extending it to neighborhood? I mean, if the house forms a kind of piece of a neighborhood?
I'm just thinking that there might be many different styles on one street, and then there isn't really any consistency within the street if every other house is different from one another.
Yeah.
Well,
That's...
I'm not sure. I guess it would depend on the neighborhood itself.
Yeah. No, I like the simplicity of what you suggested, because then, you know, if the existing style of the house is a positive contributing factor to the neighborhood, then we haven't harmed anything. And if there isn't really a consistent style, we still haven't harmed anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just would like to add that I think it's important to reiterate what Mayor Rogers said at our last workshop meeting, that it was never the intention to treat the whole village as a historic district just because we would review certain design elements or changes to buildings. It just means that like in other communities, we would pay more attention to what's happening architecturally and what gets approved and what not.
You know, sadly, there's a lot of catching up in New Paltz and maybe a lot of lost battles on this. Okay.
For sure.
Valerie, do you have any contributions? I'm thinking we can probably wrap this up, but anything? You
No,
would-
thanks. I'm very content to let commissioners do the talking on this one. Thank you, though.
Okay, good. Well, everybody, maybe what I'll do is take this general idea to Tim, the mayor, and maybe to the village attorney, and just see what they think this would look like in legal language. I mean, I think we have a pretty good blueprint for what a COA form looks like. And if we could simplify that down to a couple of really basic questions and keep open, I think one of the important things is keeping open the possibility of not needing to review at all. Because I think that would gain us a lot with public impression. And I think it would simplify everybody's life if it's obvious that this is never going to get rejected, then I think we should have a mechanism for making that happen. Okay. Anything else on this topic?
I agree with you, Tom, and I think even on Huguenot Street, when an application comes in and the changes are like for like, there isn't really any objection. And I know that it came up during some discussions that, oh, people will not be able to change their windows to energy efficient windows if they have to ask permission from the Historic Preservation Commission on such and such street outside of Huguenot Street,
Right.
which is certainly not the case. Even on Huguenot Street, many people have changed their windows to energy efficient ones. As long as the size of the aperture is not changing, or the size of the window or the location is not changing, there is no objection whatsoever.
Agreed.
And as long as the style of the window is the same, there is no objection.
Right.
And,
We've done that on individually
yes.
landmarked properties as
Yes.
well. Yeah. Okay. Before we close that, I wanted to make sure Pat had a chance, if you have any thoughts, Pat, just to text them over. And I'll wait to hear from Pat, but maybe we can go on to, we've just got another 5 minutes or so. The proposition on the ballot for the community preservation plan and the fund, the transfer tax fund, you know, I think that we should do what we can to promote it. I was interested today, I don't know if people can see this, looks like it's pretty clear. This came in my mailbox just today, and it's a pretty slick piece of advertising against the referendum. And I tried to track down, it says paid for by Keep New Paltz Affordable. And I Googled around, and there just doesn't seem to be any official organization by that name. So I would kind of love to know who's behind it, like who and what is Keep New Paltz Affordable. And I don't know if that's a research project anybody wants to take on. Did anybody else get this in the mail?
Not on Huguenot Street today.
I think I got
Interesting.
that one today.
You did, Val?
Yeah, I believe I did. I haven't had
Interesting.
much of a chance to look through the mail, but that looks familiar.
Yeah. It comes with an Albany address so Keep New Paltz Affordable has a street address of 130 Washington Avenue in Albany. So I just don't know. I mean, not that it's really our business, but I'm curious to know what organization that is. I expected to find a website or a Facebook page devoted to the cause, and I didn't find that.
Well, I would
And-
speculate that it's somebody who has the money to print in color and hire a mailing house and perhaps get the mailing house permit to be used and to mail them to a selection or to everyone in the village. That's very
Yeah.
interesting.
It is. And I suppose I don't think you have to form an organization to call yourself something, right? this is what I suspect, is that this may not broadly represent the views of people in New Paltz.
Well, it represents the views of somebody who has money to spend on advertising it.
Yeah. Well, please keep your ears open. Chris, you don't know anything, do you?
Not off the top of my head. Now I'm like trying to like see if I can find anything. I do believe I saw that earlier though.
And Pat just texted that she got one as well. So I don't know if maybe it could be by voting district, although that wouldn't make sense for Huguenot Street. It could just be the peculiarities of today's mail.
Mhm.
But I think the community really stands to benefit from that. Not only historic preservation, we're actually a very small part of it, but I think especially outdoor space could really benefit. The only other thing under number 4 is that I got a request kind of in a hurry for part of our video to be used for this cause by the town HPC, and I said yes, please do, because we'd already determined that we're in favor. So that seemed a pretty easy thing to say yes to. Could we all make that an action item? It might be good to try to stave off this kind of publicity by trying to find out who that might be or what the group might be. And secondly, to kind of talk it up among friends and neighbors, because it is going to be a bit of an uphill to accept any kind of tax increase in these days, but I think it's for a really great cause. Anything else on that before we move on?
Tom, I may be mistaken about this, but is it about a tax increase or is it on the sale of properties?
It's actually only a transfer tax.
Yes, okay.
Which would not affect most people, but the claim here is that it does not, that it's against attracting new homeowners, which I don't know how great that is as an argument. It says, while well-intentioned, it's a bad idea because the new tax bill will discourage homeowners and buyers of commercial property from investing. Chris got one too.
Yeah.
Slow the economic recovery, make New Paltz less competitive at attracting new business, which is really a reiteration of the first point. So I don't know.
I think that
I don't know if I smell a rat, but I think I might smell a mouse.
it's
I have
weird.
an answer.
I feel like most people would want, honestly, if I were talking about friends and neighbors, I've heard more people wanting to actually try and discourage people buying up homes, left and right. So I don't know where this, I think it's kind of advertised under the guise of it kind of, at first glance, you kind of think that it's going to be something about keeping new home buyers, kind of discouraging it. And then on the back, when they clarify, it kind of says the exact opposite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that it feels like there's a little bit of a breadcrumb trail here, because the language is all about investing rather than buying homes to live in. I just wonder if it's not, I don't know who's behind it, but it would be fascinating to see if we can.
Tom, a quick search. I mean, I am a reference librarian in my daytime job. That address, 130 Washington Avenue, is office building, part of which is rented out by the New York State Association of Realtors.
Okay, I think you just sussed it, Chris. I think that. So I'm just trying to think about motives here. So if a sale is more complicated or costly, that's bad for real estate, but that's a lobby group, isn't it?
Sure.
Or a professional organization.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a transfer tax, a transfer fee, then that adds to the price of a building to their minds. So I guess that's how they would view it.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, damn, good.
It's like assembling the dream team here. We have a reference librarian among us now. Well, let's keep our ears and eyes open, and maybe we'll find out that this isn't even really coming from the community. I mean, it could be that. Let's see. Susan's not back. Valerie, do you want to? Let's move on to number 5. Could you kindly report on the compliance training?
Sure. Is there anyone who has not yet completed the required training? Stephen did. Camilla,
I
you
did
did,
too.
right? I know Pat did. Chris, you did it. And I believe Sue did, but I will double check with her. And Tom, you're going to use your SUNY training in lieu of this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the plan, and I still have to do the SUNY one. So
Okay.
I'm the outlier.
All
But
right.
thank you everybody for complying. Val, does it work the other way? Does the
Alberta
village-
also sent a reminder today, just to kind of, get all of her information up to date. She did say to me that if anyone has completion certificates that came directly from NYMIR, forward them to Alberta. Some of the one, you may have gotten some of your certificates directly from Alberta, but if you did not, one of us you can either forward them to me and I'll send them to her, or you can send them directly to her. Chris, I think that was your situation, and I did forward the certificate you provided to me to Alberta, so she has it.
I wasn't sure what to do with that. I was like,
Yeah,
do I-
that's fine. Nope, you did what you should have done. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, Tom, I talked over you. So what were you
No,
gonna say?
I interrupted. Pat has completed hers. She just texted,
Okay.
and I will take care of it. It's just not something I've gotten to yet.
Yeah, I understand. So I'll be in touch with Pat by email just to see if she got a certificate from Alberta or from NYMER.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see. Fast Forward Online is coming up in late October. If anyone's interested in attending, that would be Zoom meetings, I assume. Registration is open. It does make it somewhat easier to attend.
I
So-
believe there is a fee involved with it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly what the fee is. So anyone who's interested, let's talk about it first so we can get some approval from Nancy.
Right. That I think is Val, I'm remembering 100 or less. I remember thinking that's very affordable.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think for members it was $75 early registration, but non-members is maybe 110 if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it
That
was
sounds
really
right.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Are you interested, Camilla?
Yes, it sounds very interesting. I will look at
Okay.
it some more and let you know, but I think it would be beneficial.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And then Susan's back, so let's make this the last item before going back to her. The Landmark Society of Western New York did a webinar on historic tax credits. And I think, Val, you've got the link for that.
I actually asked for the link and I have not heard back from them yet. So I will resend my message and hopefully be able to get that and save it. But we did not register for it, which is why we didn't get the link automatically. And I may or may not be successful when I ask if they'll share it with those who didn't register.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for updating us.
Mhm.
Susan, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. I promised a full agenda, and it is that. Everyone, let's loop back to B2, and there are actually 5 kind of related items under that. The first one, Susan, is that October 24th has been chosen as the commemoration date for the
It's
bench
actually-
and the African American burial ground.
Wait, it's actually, wait, let me just, oh, I actually, it took about 8 years, but I finally went through all the boxes in my garage when I had some time last month. I think I texted Chris as soon as I found it. And I found actually, which I'm going to read, Tom Nyquist's speech that he gave in 2000, which was really wonderful. And I found my notes, and I found our flyers, October 24th, 2010, Memorial Bench dedication. So it's 20 years since we discovered the site, and exactly 10 years on the 24th from when the bench was put there. So I thought we used to go, until a couple of years ago, we went every single year to the site. And A.J. William Myers would walk up the street, he had like a long stick, a walking stick, and there'd be a trail of people behind him. And Margaret Wade Lewis, who lived just a few doors down, was there.
Right next door.
Yeah, and it was quite a thing. We'd always get a nice crowd there. And we haven't done it in a couple of years. So it being the anniversary, I thought it would be a really good time, because we always do it in February and it's too cold and people don't come out. So this was a good excuse for us to do it in the fall. But what I wanted to do was have just a couple of us there and have it virtual. And what I needed to find out from all of you is, this is what I see as the program right now. I wanted to give an opening and talk about the history of our group, because we started this committee. David Strong actually started the committee. I don't know if any of you know David and his wife, Laura Wells, but David found a newspaper clipping, and we had a committee that met every month. And I have to say, the first month of the committee, the people that lived on the site that we thought or think it was on, they came to the meeting, were very excited. And the second month they came, actually just their lawyer came and said, "You're not touching our property. You're not doing any ground penetrating radar. We want nothing to do with this." So that was the end of actually finding the spot. And Janet Salt was so wonderful in saying, "You can use my property to put, our marker up." It took 1 year to do the wording in that sign. 1 year, because till we got the wording that we liked. And, but again, it was kind of a time that often we had some of the Baptist churches from Poughkeepsie would come, and we do a whole event after in Deo Hall, which was really lovely. So I thought I would give the opener. I would assume the mayor would like to say something. So I'd have him speak next. If you on the commission want to say, something, that's up to you. There's a slot for you. Next was going to be Tanya Marquette, who pretty much raised the money for that bench. So I asked her, I did ask Janet also about using the property, the few of us are there, not a crowd, I said. And then my star is going to be Joan Miller, who I spoke to, who is really excited about speaking. And she may come up, I don't know, but she'll certainly talk from Westchester. She lives in Westchester, and we've been talking, and she's very happy. We've done, like, 1 year we had, and I think Tanya might have pictures of it. We had the guys that come and do, like when it's a veteran, even though Richard wasn't buried there, he died at sea, but we had like a 4-gun salute or something like that. People came and did something. So that's what I was thinking. Nothing too long, like about a half an hour, but I thought it would be really important to make mention of this, because I think it's really important. What do you think? How's this sound?
To me, it sounds great.
Okay. Do you want to say something, Tom, or what would you?
I don't not want to, but I also don't want to hog the program. Susan, had you thought, is there a role for Neil as town supervisor?
I emailed him. I never heard back from him. So my assumption was that he wasn't, I don't know. I never heard back from him.
Okay.
So I figured it is in the village, and
Yeah.
I'd have the mayor. I don't want it to be too political with too many, like, whatever. If Neil wrote back and said if he said he wanted to be involved, I was happy to. I sent it out to the whole committee that, Jennifer Berry, the committee that we met out at the Julia Jackson playground site, those of us that were there, I sent it to that whole group. And I heard back from you, and I heard back from the mayor, and I didn't hear back from anybody else. So I could reach out to Jennifer again and see if she wants to say something as the minister. That might be nice. And maybe I'll try to do that and see if she wants to say something. I'd love to find David Strong. I've been trying to find out where he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they moved to Massachusetts, but they kind of left, and then we never saw anything else about them. So,
And is AJ in a position to say a few words?
I have told him about right from the beginning. I told him about it. Anytime I've tried to, his voice right now is really almost unintelligible. I think he's got a vocal cord thing going on. I'm going to approach him again. I don't know if he's using Zoom, and I don't think he can leave his wife, but if he's willing to say anything, I'd love to have it, because I was going to talk about him. If he doesn't, I would talk about his role in all of this, because he's always been the main guy,
Yeah, exactly.
And there were really, Tanya, who again, I reached out to her, and I did reach out to Edgar, but I felt that Tanya, I just couldn't have everyone from like concerned parents and I don't want to get into a whole political thing. I want to just look at this and commemorate it without getting into, I have other venues where I do the political stuff. So this, I just want to, remind, like, if you hear what Tom said, it's really beautiful. I was so happy I found his speech. So,
that sounds great. I agree that the spirit is, there's plenty of politics swirling around. There'll be even more by October 24th.
Yeah, October 11th, I've got a big one. Albert Cook and I are speaking for Catskill Conversations. And I'm talking first, and then he's talking next. And that will get very political, I'm sure.
Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to also give an update of on the site itself, just because we were at, I don't know where we left off at the last meeting and everything. So I had reached out. I was supposed to meet with the Huguenot Street, and then unfortunately we weren't able to do it. But then I had reached out again to meet with them, because basically Professor Williams Myers had insisted that they be involved in the landscaping of their property. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to get in touch with them, and I've emailed them a couple of times. So I'm going to follow up. But we are looking to still landscape the area a bit, and if we could possibly somehow do that before the 24th, that would just be awesome. But that was just like a little side update on the site itself. So it's still.
I had also taken a walk with Chris and gave him some history of the site, and we looked at some of the houses and lots of local gossip I got to share with him about different things that were happening on the street and who lived where. And where I think that the actual the burial ground may be, which may be closer to where the Gooch's house is. But so it's somewhere in between. So we're around the vicinity, although there's another one on Huguenot Street and one right on Huguenot Street property. So again, I keep finding clippings that talk about burial, slave burial grounds. So So, but here's a question I have for you. Do you remember who, like, if we Zoom it or if we live stream it, like if we Zoom it, well, obviously I need a photographer. I need somebody that would be there with a camera. So I don't know how did we do it at Julia Jackson? I didn't know who was behind the camera. Do you know? Was it you? Who was behind the camera?
I don't know. I wonder if we could check with Ariana.
Yeah, because however they did it, I would love to do it because that was live streamed. Like, we don't have to do Zoom. We could just do live stream YouTube. But I did make a flyer, like a splash page that we could use for PR. But I have to know how to tell people before I start PRing it. I need to know how to say how people can get into it. How.
Yeah. And we probably need that in the next 2 weeks, right?
Right.
To,
I have the splash page ready. I just, like what we've been doing with Zoom things, I can't put the Zoom address because it's like 4 lines when you have a Zoom invitation to do it. But I don't know if it's better to Zoom it or live YouTube. Like, I have my own Zoom account that I can do 100 people on. I don't think we're going to get more than that.
the village has a Zoom account, and I wonder if it has a stable. Val, do you happen to know this? Do we have a stable short URL for our meetings?
It is fairly short, yeah.
Well, if we do that, then I can put that on there, but I still need a photographer. So we need to find out who can and who wants to be there. Because again, I only want to have a few people there. And I did talk to Janet, and I promised her that we would not have a crowd in front of her house. It would just be a few people. And I know, I'm sure that that Valerie also would appreciate not having a crowd in front of her.
Thank you.
I didn't even realize I'm talking to Janet for like a half an hour. And she said, who gave you? Because I hadn't heard her address. I haven't spoken to her. We were on a sister city with El Salvador together for many years. And I'd lost touch with her in the past few years. And she said that you were at her house, that you were living in her house now. So
I thought I told you that.
I didn't even realize it. So we need to get, so that's the thing. So I need a photographer who's someone that's going to be out there, and we have to decide if we want to YouTube, Zoom, or both, or one or the other.
I'll reach out to Ari and see what she can tell us about the Julia Jackson.
Okay, that would be perfect.
Chris,
And I'll also reach out to Jennifer Berry, to the minister, and see if she would like to say something. And it's a burial ground. It's kind of nice to have somebody of a religious nature come out and say some kind of prayer, like an ecumenical kind of prayer or something would be nice. Since we don't know if there's like 100 people there. I've got 2 people I know that are buried there now, that I know, that one that we know 100% positively, another person that I'm pretty sure it's the woman's mother, Susan Kimbrook's mother. And then there are probably, maybe hundreds of people that weren't buried in the back of Huguenot Street on the side where the Jean Hasbrook house is, in back there. So, but it's hard because there's no death records. You could find, again, wills and know the names of all the people that were enslaved. I could get lots of names of enslaved people that lived on Huguenot Street, but I don't know if that's where they were buried. So not easy to come up with names of people or numbers without having like ground penetrating radar, which we wanted to do. But maybe with the new tenants that live there, we could actually see if that's the site once we are back in action again.
Right.
I could reach out to Vassar again, because that's where, the people I've worked with to find burial grounds.
Susan, that actually helps with item 2C.
Now, which is
that's what Pencil Hill consultation. So I reached out at one point to Joe Diamond about ground penetrating radar.
He doesn't do that.
No, apparently not.
No, he does archaeology, which, the professor I used to work with at Vassar was Brian McAdoo. He's in the Philippines now, no, he's in Singapore right now through Yale. I don't know if he's coming back, but the department I worked with at Vassar has all the equipment, and they often do it as a student project. So it's possible in the future.
Okay.
Just to give you an update that, because I think it's one of those letters, because you talked about walking tours or whatever. I have 2 interns from SUNY right now, and the focus of one intern, Krishika, she's working with me on the full history of the AME Zion Church and a timeline of from when it was built and everything about it, and I'm learning a lot. All the ministers, again, because it was the focal point of the Black community. I think we're going to, part of her project, she wants to be a lawyer too. So she's great. She's a history / pre-law student. We're going to look into the Pomeroy Foundation to get a historical marker put up on the site, which would be great. And then she's going to do a story map, night lab version of the church and the people that were involved in the church on Pencil Hill, probably that area. Although there were some might overlap with some of what Huguenot Street's doing with Jacob Weinkoop, but he was definitely very involved with the church. But Howard Moody was, not Howard, Charles Moody was very, he was an elder, he was a minister there. He also was a hair cutter as well, a barber. So, you know, the Roses, Charles Rose, Moody and Fulton Cox are like the 3 main guys. They built houses right across the street from the church. People that we're looking into.
That's terrific news. Please keep us posted on that. And I think for October 24th, when you say you need a camera person, I mean, it's a pretty stable camera, right? It could potentially just be on a tripod.
Someone puts it on and off. Yeah, I think, did we just use an iPhone last time? I'm trying to remember.
Well, that's what would make most sense. If you're live streaming, you can't really do it with a film camera unless it's hooked up to a phone.
We might have used a phone, but somebody was in charge of it. I remember that. So, you know.
I texted Ariana. She said that Alana was in charge of it. So the planning zoning secretary.
Okay.
So would she, like, what's the next step?
I think we need to find out whether we can ask for her assistance. I don't know whether that's something that.
Yeah, she wasn't, I don't think she was the one that was doing it though, because it was a man, and I tried to.
Okay. She must have made the arrangements though, or set up the YouTube live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect that's right.
Right, because I'd have to use the village's, you know, if we're live streaming to a YouTube channel, I don't have my own YouTube channel.
Right.
If it's just a phone, I would be happy to do that. / if we needed a camera person, I could definitely reach out. Like, I know a bunch of people media wise that.
Perfect.
So that would be great, Chris.
Yeah, so we just need to make the decision if we want to use, you know, how do we want to do it? Do we leave that up to the mayor? Like, does he?
I think maybe we ask for what we want. And it seems to me, unlike a meeting, I mean, Zoom is good when people have to talk back and forth, but this is really just a presentation, I think.
So YouTube might be fine.
Personally, I think it's sufficient. We're really not invited unless we had some remote, you know, like, for example, if Joan Miller can't come up but wants to contribute, then I think that would point towards Zoom.
And
but
if everybody can say something, yeah, I'd love to be like, and Tanya might actually, if she wants to show pictures or something, then it has to be Zoom.
Yeah, right.
So I told her about, you know, I'm going to give her about 10 minutes or so, you know, to just talk a little bit about some history and the bench and how she got the bench there. So I think I'd say there's more of a chance that Joan is not, because she was actually going to come up and meet me, and then she saw the numbers on campus that when numbers were first going up, but the numbers have been pretty stable there,
Mhm.
which is, I'm knocking on wood. It's been astonishing at SUNY. The numbers are low still. So
Yeah.
my feeling is she probably isn't going to come up. So we most likely will have
Maybe we should presume Zoom then, and that's actually even easier, I think. I mean, we have a village account. Val knows how to log in.
Well, I
Maybe
don't
Chris.
yet, but I can find out.
Well, I
Oh,
have,
that's right. Ari's been doing it. But,
if someone wants to do it from there, or else you can use my account too, either one. But actually you said you have the shorter, I can't do a short invitation thing. I'd have to get that from you. But what I do always when we have like New Pulse Historical, we have an invitation and Zoom does the whole thing and sends you back an invitation. It says, okay, you've signed up for that. We have to find out from the village if they have that, which makes it real easy because you don't have to do anything else.
yeah, I think, you know what, Susan, we'll work on this. I think this is
Okay.
not going to be very hard because
Okay.
I think once a meeting is scheduled, it creates a URL that's pretty short. And so all we have to do is get it scheduled.
Okay, so who would because I know you probably need to deal with a lot of other things. So who will I deal with now just to fine tune all this? Who do you want me to be the person talking? Who's your key person?
Me or Val. Why don't we three work on this? And Chris, if you think you might be willing to do the filming, we'll bring you in as soon as we know what that's going to be.
Yeah, and I can even reach out to someone. I mean, I think that I don't think it's like so. I think that they have like DSLR cameras now that like are fully capable of doing this type of stuff. So it might even I'll ask around. But yeah, just let me know moving forward what the deal is. I'm going to be in contact with everybody anyway to let y'all know about how the site and stuff is proceeding and whatnot. So I'll look into that as well, just to see what kind of options are out there.
Yeah, the site does look pretty nice though right now. I don't think if if you're not able to change anything with the landscaping, I think it looks really nice there anyway. So I wouldn't worry too much.
It really does. And I think someone has been going out and just kind of.
It looks beautiful. Maybe Valerie has.
Yeah,
A little trimming and weed pulling.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to do too much my opinion is I think it looks fine. I would just let it be how it is, whatever. That's
okay. So Susan, how does this sound as a plan forward? By the end of the week, we will hope to communicate to you that we've got a Zoom meeting established, and here's the URL, and then you can move ahead with the publicity. As soon as you have that, give it back to us and we'll post it on our Facebook and just try to help with the publicity effort. And at that point, Chris will bring you in.
Let me know. Keep me posted.
okay. And then we'll work out the logistics. Like when I'm sitting at my computer with Zoom, I know how to, change hosts. We just have to make some co-hosts so that like Joan could talk, Tanya can talk. So we'll just have to make people.
co-hosts. I assumed that the people who were Joan and they would not be coming to the site. Got it. Okay.
Right. And Tanya, I don't know if she, whatever what she does, but okay. So we'll talk by the end of the week, Friday. You're thinking?
Yeah, that's my goal.
Okay.
Val, does that seem realizable?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Susan,
you all.
thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything. Okay.
Thanks,
Susan, before you go off, I wanted to share some great news with the commission, but also with you. So about 10 days ago, I got a call from Corey at the village building department. Somebody named Don Trowbridge walked in without an appointment, unannounced, and brought with him some really cool future archival material, which I'm going to carefully hold up. The first thing is a Collection of Daley Freeman's from about 1892 to 1900, just a couple of random copies. In pretty good shape, all things considered. So I'm going to be really careful holding up.
Can you stop sharing the revisions so we can see that a little bit bigger? Could you stop screen sharing?
Great idea. This should
That's
make
better.
a big difference.
Terrific.
So I don't want to unfold this because the crease is probably vulnerable, but so this is the Weekly Freeman from January 7th, 1892. That's one. There are a couple from about 1900. What really excited me, though, were two different things.
Had a ledger there.
What's that?
Looked like a ledger from what I
Yeah,
saw.
the ledger, I'm going to work up to that because that really is something. But this is on, it's a kind of archival paper. I don't know, it's not exactly India paper, but it's the Albany Register from April 3rd, 1797.
Nice.
And, you know, conserved in a way we wouldn't do today. But I think this is
plastic. It's like sealed in plastic.
It's not, it came in a plastic sleeve, but it's actually almost like waxed paper. It's not wax paper, but it's like a waxy paper. It's not India paper. It's not, but that's exciting stuff. And the last thing is what really excites me because it's a unique object. It is an assessment register from 1853 in the village of New Paltz, and it's just column after column.
What names do you see there?
Oh, all the usual suspects.
Really?
Freer after Freer, Elting after Elting. It was compiled, Susan, by David Corwin Moses.
David Corwin Moses?
David Corwin Moses Good, or maybe David Corwin missing comma Moses Good, and Deo Dubois for the year 1853.
Can you tell kind of what kind of goods, like what kind of store this was, or is it a farm journal, or is it?
No, it's tax assessments.
Oh, it's the tax book.
Yeah, isn't this exciting stuff? And so it's the valuation.
Important. That's really important.
It's really great.
The clerk or something, like it had one of the people was the town clerk or something. So
yeah,
this would go with the town records, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. And it is, so I don't know if notarized is exactly, it's witnessed by the Justice of the Peace at the time. And in fact, it is Moses Hood, David Corwin, and Deo Dubois, yeah.
David Dubois.
So I think, Susan, you know, these clearly don't belong with the HPC, but they're clearly something that should be preserved. And I'm thinking Elting probably, don't you think?
I just want to tell you that Elting is a private library. That belongs to the town, or the village doesn't have its own collection, but the town has a really good collection. I would, you know, I was supposed to get some money just to get some acid-free boxes because I'm hoping in the new town hall, I have asked for an airtight room so that we could get some of our records back from Huguenot Street and have them in the town hall so that we all have access to the town records. But we don't want to take anything back from anywhere until we have the right type of environment for them to be in. Right now, I would, Rosanna, is Rosanna back? I don't know if she's back or not.
Valerie, do you know that?
Valerie?
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, I don't know if she's back.
Okay, because what is the baby might be about 6 months or so. I don't know if she came back or not, but I have a small collection that she keeps in the back there. So if we had an acid-free box, wrapped it in some acid-free paper, we could put it there if you'd like. It's not air controlled, but I think it's somewhat of a stable environment there. That's where I would put it right now. I don't keep anything, like anything that I've gotten as a donation. Rosanna has it. So
Okay.
that's where I would put it. The newspapers are tricky. We have, the county has so many, there's so many newspapers and they're hard to keep. I had all these special sleeves for newspapers. What we always do is we send them, get them scanned, and then people kind of discard them after. They get very smelly. They really have a terrible odor and they're unhealthy. So you don't want to keep it somewhere where you're going to be breathing it. But these special airtight kind of sleeves are good to put it in. I'm not as interested, like with the newspapers. The ledger is what would interest the town.
Yeah, ledger's, really something. Okay, that's great. Well, Susan, maybe
that's wonderful. Did you get any kind of paperwork from this person? Because
Nope.
we should.
He was actually reluctant to. He was reluctant to leave his name, but in the end did.
Well, I would just make a note, the date the man donated it, his name, and who received it, just so we have that for file in case somebody comes back and says, that's my ledger, and you
Sure.
can have things. That's why usually people sign a form, which I should have copies of and give you copies in case this happens again and someone wants to donate something.
Got it.
Okay, but that's great. The ledger is always a tax ledger is really important.
It's very thorough.
And I'm wondering if it fits in with the other tax records that we have. We have a ton of them. We have lots of them. They're stored at Huguenot Street. So again, hopefully one day, the town and village will have an airtight facility, because again, I think Haviland Highgard is wonderful, but you're giving it to a private library. It doesn't belong to the town. And when Al Marks left, they went through his office and no one told me about it, and Haviland Highgard took what they wanted. So we've lost all our town records that were with Al. So we just don't want to do that anymore. That's my recommendation.
I think that's wise, and I wouldn't have really thought about that or known that. Susan, why don't we collaborate on a recommendation? At some point I can get you these things so you can have a peek, and then we'll make a recommendation.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thank you for telling everybody. That's
Well, I'm happy to share some.
Especially tax records are something that landmark people would love to see. It's interesting information.
Yeah, it is. Great. So I think everybody, that covers everything apart from our last two items. Susan, thank you very much.
Thank you, and nice
Appreciate
seeing everybody. Okay.
And we'll be back in touch within the week, I hope, by Friday.
Bye everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks for coming.
Everybody, just a couple of other items. B2D is a reminder that the exhibit Never Was a Slave, Jacob Winecoop, Free and Black in the 19th Century, is up online now. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, that would be a good action item for yourself. And item E is actually something that I would like to put up for a vote. I was contacted by Josephine at Historic Huguenot Street. They're moving ahead with the audio tour. And she managed to get a voice actor. And she wondered if we could contribute to a stipend for the actor. She's asking for only $100. I think that's a wonderful idea, but I didn't want to spend commission money without commission permission. So that would be my request. We would be paying it over to Huguenot Street. They would be paying the actor a stipend, which I understood to be $200, sort of half and half. And I think it would be a good thing for us to do. I would ask that, we be credited if there's a way to do that. So that would be my proposal. Any discussion around it?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I would agree. I think
Me
it's
too.
necessary.
Okay, no objection. Pat, do you feel okay spending $100 of our budget this way? Maybe we should do this as a motion. Is there anybody willing to move that we dispense or that we expend $100 toward the audio tour?
I'll move.
Moved by Chris,
A second.
second Camilla. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, so 4 of us, and I'll just wait to hear if Pat's still with us. Yes, Pat is in agreement. So that's unanimous. I'll report that to Josephine tonight so that they can act on that.
Tom,
And
please copy me so that I can give Nancy I think what we have to do is ask for an invoice or some kind of paperwork so that we can get the money from the village to HHS.
that sounds great, Val. I'll copy you and I'll suggest that. We don't have a Huguenot Street report. Sue was unable to meet.
I'll speak. Everything's fine on Huguenot Street.
Oh, of course. For the second time, you've come to our rescue. Everything's okay? Good.
I learned, well, I'm not sure I can say I learned. I heard that the property across the street from me, the Jewett Farm property, has been sold, although I have not found any information beyond that. I don't know, Steve, if you've heard anything.
I haven't yet. I'm curious. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
so I'm going to see what I can find out.
That would be great to know, Val. That would be really good.
Yeah, I'll see what I can learn.
Okay, so we actually do have a report. Thanks. Potential consultation may be coming, would almost certainly be coming for the planning board's consideration of the pit, the Lalo Group project. There's also something brewing at 85 North Chestnut, which is the garage owned by Roddy Serda. He's starting to put together a site plan, and I don't think yet has been to, I don't think it's, maybe Chris, you know more about it?
Oh, no, I was actually, I was just going to ask for clarification on the pit.
Oh, okay. What the pit is?
Yeah, just because I'm not positive.
So the pit is that area, do you know where Village Hall is? And then it sort of drops off into no man's land.
Gotcha.
There's a parking, as you go up Huguenot Street, there's a parking lot, there's a building, there's the firehouse. Everything kind of that woody, I want to call it a wasteland, is known colloquially as the pit.
Gotcha.
And there's quite a big project planned, like a multi-story hotel shopping complex. It would be the biggest thing that New Paltz has seen in a generation or more.
I'm sorry. So where is this again? You said
No, I think, Tom, you mistakenly said Huguenot Street. It's
sorry.
Plattekill.
Plattekill.
I was thinking that. All right. So
I'm on hour 6 of Zoom today, and I'm just so tired. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Chris. It's Plattekill.
So like if I'm going down past, it would be like on my left as I'm approaching Chase and Starbucks, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's pretty large. I think it's maybe 2.5 acres or maybe even more. But it's bounded by Plattekill and I'm suddenly forgetting the name of the street that borders the playground. Mohonk, maybe? No.
Hasbrook, I think.
Hasbrook.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So
Yeah, no, that's a perfectly good question. And Val, you heard nothing back about 143 Huguenot Street,
Not
right?
a word.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I actually went by there today and I didn't think to look again, but I haven't seen any evidence of a raised bed.
No, I do see a new planting. It looks like it might be maybe a lilac bush in front of the, remember they, with their split unit, they put a little fence
Yeah.
section to hide it. Well, in front of the fence section is a new lilac bush, I believe, but that's all I've seen in terms of landscape changes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have a budget report. I didn't get one from the village. We haven't
No,
really.
I haven't either. The last paper copy I have was July. And I received that sometime in the last couple of weeks. So I'm not really sure how the distribution is going. So maybe that's a question for me to follow up with Nancy and Roseanne about.
That would be great if you could.
Sure.
I mean, this is probably telling us that really it might be better if that somehow could just be posted internally so we can look for ourselves. Because the paper copies just accumulate.
Yeah, and I mean, if Nancy is willing to scan something to me, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Do you mind making that an action item?
I don't mind at all.
Everybody, I think that's our agenda. Is there any new business?
Tom, I have one follow-up question back to when we were talking about Pencil Hill. Did you ever follow up with John Rayburn in geology?
No,
Okay.
I didn't.
Right.
Do you have a pretty good sense? I mean, Susan was saying nobody here does that work, but you had a sense he does,
He
right?
does. Yeah, I'm sure he does. In fact, I think Joe may have mentioned that in his message.
That sounds familiar.
Someone at New Paltz?
Yeah, geology
Yeah.
department.
Oh, okay. I was actually reading about the poorhouse earlier, so it's funny that Susan mentioned the Brian McAdoo, because I was just reading about it earlier. So I just this side note.
Val, do you know John Rayburn at all?
I do. Uh-huh.
Well, let's talk about maybe reaching out to him just to see if there might be interest.
Okay.
Maybe he's got some students who want to take on a project.
Okay.
If there's no other new business, let's call it a meeting. Not too
Could I
bad.
ask one quick question? I'm looking at the website, and I'm just looking at my term. Do I inherit Zach's term?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be finishing out his term.
Okay.
And
And
then you can go for your own. If you're
That's, when is that till, Stephen?
June of 2022.
Okay.
And
There's always a chance of parole.
also, as far as like, so we have an open alternate spot, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just like, if there is someone that we think of, or is there someone we should contact? Like, should I contact Valerie or you, or?
I think so, Chris. Yeah, I think probably the best way is just ask that person to get in touch, and maybe, probably the softest way to enter is just come and sit in on a meeting, or, come to a Zoom meeting, see how it works, see if it's really what the person wants.
Yeah, and for the record, I don't have anyone. I just
Okay.
I just want to make sure that when
Yeah. But if someone were to present themselves, that would be the best way.
Yeah.
So, great. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great evening and week and month, and we'll see each other October 19th.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
I think I saw Camilla first. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Okay. Pat, I'm going to assume that you're okay with that, but if you want to text me your agreement, then we'll record it. Very seriously, thanks, everybody. I hope it's a wonderful early autumn for you, and look forward to seeing you around.
Okay. Good
Thank
night.
you all.
Okay. Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
See ya. So Val, I'm gonna,
Hold on one
yeah,
second.
Pat agrees with adjourning, and I'm just gonna thank her. And Pat, have a wonderful couple of weeks. I hope to see you when I'm occasionally walking to campus, because I'm not doing it as much as I used to.
Thank you, Pat.
So Val, I'm just going to
I'm
review.
gonna try to stop the live stream.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, but I'm not sure I can while are you still screen sharing or no?
Yeah, let me stop that. No, I think I'm not
Maybe
screen
not.
sharing, but I'm just gonna, I'm getting a pull down menu.
You see anything in?
No, it doesn't let me
Okay.
quit. Why don't we do this? Let's just log off, and I'll give you a call, and we'll just clean up a couple of action items.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much.
All right, talk to you in a minute.
Okay.